I start out by setting the water lukewarm. That's just a large cotton ball. I put half of it in one ear and half in the other, and it just prevents water from getting into her ears and preventing ear infections. I got that tip from a vet tech at the vet's office that I take her to. And she hasn't gotten any more ear infections, so it's working out really nicely. I'm wetting her body first. I wash her body first and wash her face and head last, just to minimize the amount of time she'll have with water and shampoo on her face. And that helps prevent water from getting in her nose and also shampoo from getting in her eyes and her mouth. So I'm using a baby wipe just to get the space behind her tail wet. It's a really tight space. It's a little tail pocket. I use the same technique to shampoo that area. It's unpleasant, but it's really necessary. Otherwise, she gets very itchy and starts dragging her tail. And she can also get an infection. Some bulldog owners have their dog's tail amputated because of this problem. It's really important to clean it daily, and I just use baby wipes, just like I'm using there. I want to get a good lather going, so I apply a generous amount of shampoo. I don't do anything with her head or her face because I'm leaving that to last. So I'm just working on her body. I'm using my fingertips to work the shampoo down to her skin. And I just scrub her whole body and just really get a good lather going. I'm shampooing her paw, getting in between her pads, and I do that thoroughly. Her back half tends to get a lot of dead skin accumulated just in general, so I try and scrub her rear end really well. That's her hind paw, and notice I'm working the shampoo in deep between her pads. And now I'm just rinsing just her body. That handheld water sprayer I'm using saves a lot of time and water, by the way. And now I'm rinsing all of her paws thoroughly and her underside. So I'm using a baby wipe again. I just rinsed her pocket. I had left the shampoo in previously, so I rinsed it. Now I'm shampooing it for the second time. I shampoo it a total of 3 times every time I take her a bath. And this is just an old shampoo bottle with water in it. There's no chemical in there, just water. And I use it because it helps me control the water better and not let water get into her nose or her ears. She can get pretty stressed out if she gets water in her nose. So now I just use the same shampoo. Nothing special about the shampoo. It's really the cheapest shampoo that I could find at the pet store, and it works just fine. I'm careful not to get shampoo in her eyes, and I get into all of her wrinkles, especially the deeper ones like that one above her nose. They tend to trap a lot of oil and dirt and can cause infection, so that's really important. Her chin also needs special attention, needs to be kept clean regularly, otherwise she tends to break out. And so now I'm rinsing all the shampoo. And again, I'm using that old shampoo bottle. There's just water in there. And I'm trying to be careful not to get any water in her nose. Her nose is tilted up, so it catches water really easily. And now I'm rinsing her wrinkle, really just with my wet hands, just because it's really difficult to work with that wrinkle and not get water or shampoo in her nose. So I just use my hands over and over and over again until I'm satisfied that it's nice and rinsed thoroughly. And so now I'm rinsing her tail pocket again, shampooing for the third time. And it's not a pretty sight, but it's so necessary. And getting a fresh baby wipe to do the final rinse. And it can get pretty itchy. As you can see, she's that licking, it's because it's itchy. And there she is, all pretty and clean. So that's just an old blanket that I use to lay her down. She's all wet, so I lay her down on a blanket, and I'm using just an old bath towel. Nothing special about it. And this is just a regular paper towel. I use one paper towel and I tear it in half. I use one half to dry her wrinkle, that big wrinkle on her face. It's a really tight little space, so paper towel works just right. And I am removing her cotton balls now. Sometimes I forget to remove them and I spot them in her ears when we're at the park, and that's funny, but I try and remember to take them out. I'm going to dry her tail now, and I'm using the other half of that paper towel. Works a lot better than a bath towel because it's so thin and absorbent. And that space is such a tight space, so it's just right. I'm using a washcloth to dry between her pads and in her webbing. And if that's not dried thoroughly, it can cause a yeast problem. And that's it. Usually she runs out and throws herself on the floor, but she didn't that time. So this is the Furminator tool that I used. A large cotton ball that I tore in half, half in each ear. The shampoo that I used on her, again, nothing special, really just the least expensive shampoo. It works really well. Old shampoo bottle that I used for rinsing her face and wetting her face, and just generic unscented baby wipes. Super cheap, a lot cheaper than doggy wipes, and work just as well. Paper towel that I used, half for her wrinkle on her face and half for her tail. I didn't show you this step, but I use a Q-tip to apply A&D ointment into her tail pocket to keep it from feeling itchy. We hope you found this helpful. More episodes to come.